Hey everyone, this is this week's tiara, and I thought this would be interesting because this is a tiara I've made before, and so I kind of wanted to compare the two tiaras because the original one that I did was a pretty early tiara from the Tiara Tuesdays that I've done. So this is this week's right here, and this is the original one that I did. And you can see they're very similar in style, but I did notice that this is the original. Oops. I've learned a lot more techniques at this point to tighten it. Like this is very loose. These are on here. This gem has been colored and not very well, but I didn't have as many big gems. These are kind of wiggly a little bit, and then these are all attached. I can tell like my wire work is kind of all over the place here, which has changed as well, but it's the same concept. So let me go through this week's tiara and kind of walk through it. So this one I feel like has a little bit more of a science fiction flair with these druzy beads right here, which I thought were really cool. You can kind of turn them to see some of the druzy in there. And this one's got some too, but this one's a little harder to turn. Anyway, so I kind of see this as my science fiction tiara. But how I did this was first I wired on this round piece right here with this piece underneath it. So you can see this is actually not one of my regular bases. This is just a flat wire, but you can see there's that piece in the middle and then the piece in front of it. So I glued them together on this one, and then I wired them to the base. And so this is a lot sturdier. You can't move this one at all, unlike the first one. And then this little moon right here got glued on. And then these pieces, as you can see, are also glued on with a strong epoxy glue so they don't move as well. And then what I did was I took a little bit of glue and glued on these crystals, and then actually covered it with a glitter so you can see that glitter kind of coming through. Gives it a little bit more added interest. These are pieces of wire that are just shaped into this shape. There's actually just one piece, so I wired it down on this side, wired it in the center, and then wired it on the outside, and did that on both sides. And then I added, like I said, the druzy bead. I actually let the wire show because I thought it was kind of an interesting look. And then I crimped the wire so that you get this kind of interesting detail that's holding these pieces in place. So they're just crimped in random order. And then finally, on the original one, I thought the beads were a little too small, or too big, I'm sorry, these beads right here. So I used a smaller bead that still kept with that color detail work, but these are just random. I think there's fluorite in there and some copper beads, a little bit of these antiqued blue beads with the kind of copper on the outside, and they're just wired on there and then crimped. The crimp work is kind of in there to kind of add some extra detail, add a little shine. We wanted it to show, but not too much, so it looks like a detailed element instead of just, oh wow, your wire work is showing. But this is a pretty simple layout here. And then finally, on this one, I liked this shape on the bead right here, so I added this one here. I added another large bead that I think has this really cool green and coppery gold red color that matches well with all of the copper works, and then of course a green bead at the bottom as well. So that's it. Let me just show from the back. Again, I've wired on the round with this piece in front, and they're sandwiched together. There's the piece in front and the round. They're glued together, and then this is glued on, and then these are glued on the back. And then these are just wired on, and there's one long piece of wire that are shaped with these two humps on both sides. And then I added the druzy in there. added the glue and the glitter for the centerpiece with the, and then everything else, all of the crystals were added at the end. And there you go, pretty straightforward. And like I said, it's not a very different tiara than the first one, but it's definitely, I think, just been refined enough that makes it really stand out. And I like them both, but I'm really liking the changes in the details on the current one. And that's this week's tiara. Talk to you guys later.